And we are live. What is up, guys? I know I'm a few minutes late, but I had to go ahead and get set up. Hope you guys are having a great Sunday. So, today we getting down to the nitty gritty. This is one of the investments that I don't really talk too much on. I know, like, a lot of times I'm talking more about real estate, I'm talking about like investments, but this is more of like an investment that some may of you may have heard of it, many of you have may not heard of it. So we're gonna talk about it a little because it's awesome. Got a few people in there. What's up? Currently live on Instagram, I'm live on Facebook, and I'm live on YouTube. I'm not too sure on the Instagram side. I may not be able to see your messages till later on. So if you do have a question, be sure to wait till after, and I'll be able to check the messages to see if whatever questions you have, and I'll get to it. But for now, just gonna go into it. We're gonna get talking to what equity crowdfunding is because it's a really good topic and it's not highly talked about, but I feel like a lot of us need to talk about it more, especially because most people, when they think about investing, they're thinking about real estate only. They're thinking about no investing in Amazon and stuff. But with this, you want to get into the nitty gritty, exactly what you're investing in, because, like I said, a lot of people they want to invest in the Amazons, they want to invest in the Pinterests and etc., the Microsoft, the Googles. But before they became what they are right now, at one point, they were a startup. They were just a company growing, looking for money to get started. And essentially, this is where you want to be. You want to be one of those early people that were able to put in some money to help this company grow, and essentially that company become really big and you reap the benefits of it. The issue with that is beforehand, maybe about, I would say, up until recently, a lot of us haven't had the access that we needed to get access to a lot of these investments because a lot of the laws and stuff. But now that's changed. Beforehand, you need to be a sophisticated investor, which is essentially having a net worth of 250,000 or being able to create, I think it's, you have to have a net worth of over a million or something, or you've had to make 250,000 over the course of 2 years in a row in order to get access to a lot of these investment opportunities. They wouldn't even look your way or bat an eye. But now they've been able to put a lot of these investments on these platforms that I'm going to show you today to allow you access to invest. So, what exactly is equity crowdfunding? Essentially, equity crowdfunding is startups are looking for what? What is one of the most important things that companies need to thrive and do better? Yes, they have the great idea, but most of them do lack capital. They don't have money to finance this idea that they want to bring to life and do well with. So, what they've done is they've created a platform for people like you and me to go to that platform, and you can essentially give them your money. So you're giving them financing, and what you're doing is giving them your money with the hope that the company becomes profitable in the future. And in the future, you will then get more money back. Essentially, it depends on the terms of what the company is actually giving, but that essentially is the basic look at it. You're giving them money, so you're giving them capital financing, and then in return, they're giving you equity. It's going to depend on the terms. They can give you equity in the company. It might be some little. They may give you maybe a promissory note where they'll pay you back the essential amount that you've given them with maybe 50% on top. They may give you some common stock, essentially, if the company decides in the future to IPO and they do have stocks, they'll give you stock in that company at a cheaper price. So, one example that you've seen is when, let's say, Nas or one of them, they bought Ring or they bought Spotify back in the day, they were able to get those stocks pennies on the dollar. And when time went on, essentially what happened was they were able to get paid big amounts based off of the shares they bought back in the day. So this is essentially what it is commonly. So I'm gonna go ahead, show my screen, and give you a better look on this. So give me 1 second. Let me see. Share screen. Start screen sharing. I'm going to share the screen right here. All right. Give me 1 second. I have to update my preferences. It's not allowing me to share my screen. All right, let's try this again. All right, for some reason, it's not allowing me to share my screen at the moment. So we are going to carry on. So some of these, all right. So some of these websites that we're talking about, a lot of them, they're pretty new. One of them is called WeFunder, actually, and that's essentially my favorite one. So right now, currently, I don't want to show y'all my investments yet, but currently I'm invested in about 9 startups on WeFunder. Just give it a second to load. I'm gonna basically essentially tell you what I'm investing in. So yeah, what I like about these platforms are you are essentially able to get equity within the company, and um so if I ask if it's a website or it's an app. So they have both. They have a website, they have an app. And there's a lot of them. It's you don't really need to stay on one of them. I'm a part of about 5 or 6 because each one of them they have different companies that you can invest in, and there's always a lot of startups that are constantly coming up with new ideas, which is great. And one of the recent ones I actually have been a part of, if it's called GameStar. Um, Let me see. It's actually giving me the option. Just give me a second. I want to be able to show you my screen so you can actually see what I'm seeing. Um, just gonna give this permission. Um, Let me see if it allows me to share now. I don't think it's gonna allow me to share unless I close out my screen. Let's see. Okay, looks like it's working now. Okay, so here we have one of the investments. I'm gonna go into my portfolio so you can just look at it. Don't mind me if it takes a little while. So as you can see, I'm invested in a lot of things. Um, we're just gonna name like one of them where I'm invested into. So it's like you have a lot of great projects on here. One of them being a ride hauling platform owned by workers, not billionaire founders and venture capitalists. So this essentially is something that is going to rival Uber. So as you know, Uber is a ride sharing company that essentially is owned by the CEO. They're mostly trying to appease the shareholders mostly. So they're not really for the ride. The drivers actually they're paying them like pennies on the dollar. This company essentially all the profits are going mostly to the actual drivers, which I thought is a pretty good project. As you can see here, they're trying to raise about $2.5 million. They've raised almost one half of that, which is pretty good. And then a lot of times you'll get the terms. So you'll get basically your investment terms is you're going to get 2.5% of revenues, which I mean 2.5% of all the revenues, that's great. And you get 2 times investment amount. So basically, the company will pay investors 2.5 of revenues each quarter until 100% of your principal is paid back. And then on top of that, they're going to give you 150%. So, I mean, you get opportunities like this all the time, which is great. Beforehand, what is happening is I like this kind of form of investing. Why? It's because back in the day, it's very hard for you, I guess, to get rich by investing. And I want to use rich very lightly, but it's very hard, I would say, to like invest and make a lot of money quickly. And quickly can be used kind of lightly as well because everybody has a different definition for lightly. But my whole point being, a lot of times the rich people or the wealthiest people are made essentially behind the scenes before all those companies hit the stock market, all that. Usually the the millionaires, the billionaires, they're made way before the company hits their IPO. And the fact of the matter is now it's giving regular people like you and me the opportunity to get involved in things like this. Because beforehand, maybe 25 years ago, if you wanted to go ahead and invest in Amazon and get stocks and shares for pennies on the dollar, there's no chance of you getting that unless you are a sophisticated investor. Um, if you had a net worth over like 1 million, or if you're making a lot of money, or you have a lot of friends in high places. Usually that only happens if you're the group of people that you're with are all high net worth people that can kind of lend you a hand and show you like which manager to talk to get into opportunities like this. But now you have opportunities like this all the time. Like you have opportunities to invest in startups, which is great. I mean, what are you guys waiting for? I mean, come on now. But one of the major things that I want to just say is just with crypto, with investment opportunities like this, I love them because now you get access to things way before like they take off. It's all dependent on when you actually are investing and if you believe in the project. You see, a lot of people feel like you're making a lot of money on the stock market when it hits E-Trade, Robinhood. The big money is made before that. Yes, you are able to still make money when the actual stock hits the stock market. Yes, you can make money and it can get way bigger, but think about it. Think about how Amazon, I'll just use that as an example because a lot of people know Amazon, but just think about how Amazon, there were people investing and getting shares of Amazon for like a dollar, 30 cents. And imagine Amazon shares are what? Let's check that real quick. Amazon shares is $3,462 right now. Imagine you are somebody who had the opportunity to put 5K into Amazon, 10K into Amazon. And now look, you bought $5,000 worth of shares at maybe 10 cents before it IPO'd. And now look at this price now. This is what this gives you the opportunity to do. It allows you to get into startup opportunities before they hit big. Now, I don't want to like display this to you as it's going to be easy. Like you're just going to put your money into these startups and they're just going to do well and you're just going to make a big amount of money back. I don't want to kind of frame it that way because businesses do fail and startups, they fail at about an 80% rate. You need to always do your research. You need to actually look at the financial report of these companies, make sure that they have healthy amounts of money coming in. You need to also see who is a part of the project. You may have people that are a product of the project that are reputable people. Maybe they have already done 10 startups. If they've done 10 startups and they've all gotten bought and they've done well, that might be a good opportunity for you to go ahead and invest in it because you know that they have experience. These are factors that you want to look at when looking at these investments. But I just wanted to open up a different frame of thinking, a different opportunity for you to look at and, get into these types of things because I like diversification. A lot of you may just have one type of investment, which is great. I love that you're learning how to invest, but you need to diversify, get your hands dirty, do a couple of different things. Crypto is out there. You can get involved in crypto. You can get involved in ETFs. You can get involved in stocks. You can get involved in real estate. You need to have your money diversified throughout places. I don't like the fact that people just got their money held up in savings account. Yes, I want you to save your money. Saving your money is great. But if you have your money saved up in an account, essentially the bank is using your money to become more wealthy, as well as your money loses value every single year. Let's face it, the American dollar isn't as strong as it used to be. So why do you not have it working for you? It does not work for you in your bank account. So the more that we can spread this American dollar throughout everywhere is going to be better for you. So let's just go into, 8 benefits of equity crowdfunding because they do have a lot of benefits to it. So number 1 is going to be access for investors. So as long as you're over the age of 18, you are able to invest in companies. So I know a lot of times they do have some type of restrictions based off of how much you're investing, and they kind of look at your net worth. They look at how much you're making. They want to just make sure you're not putting all your money into these things. But most of the time they do make it, they make it known that you need to make sure that you understand that you have the risk of losing your money and never invest more than you are willing to lose. So I just want to say that. You got the affordability. I hate when people tell me I can't invest in Amazon. I don't got $3,000. You don't need $3,000, especially nowadays. Companies allow you to use fractional shares. You don't even need to buy a full share of stock. Same thing goes for equity crowdfunding. A lot of times these platforms allow you to spend as little as $100 to invest in these companies. So you don't need to put $1,000. You don't need to put in 20K. You don't need to put in large amounts of money. You can put in as low as $100 in a project that you think will be successful. I mean, come on. $100, that's nothing. You guys spend more on sneakers. You can put $100 in regards to, these companies. Control. A lot of times when it comes to these companies, they allow you a lot of control. Like you have control. And since you are a large amount of investors, you hold majority of the decisions most of the time. And a lot of times they are going to include you in a lot of calls Like you are essentially you're a part of the company. It's like don't get me wrong. Like you kind of you hold some weight because you giving them money. So usually it's the person with the money, the bread. They hold the weight. They hold the keys essentially. So don't take that lightly. A lot of these other things they're great, but I wanted to talk about those major things. The biggest things for me is going to be the accessibility because back then we didn't have that much accessibility to these opportunities. The affordability and the control, those are like my three main things that I love about it. Now, obviously, we're going to have some cons to this. Never invest more than you're willing to lose. Most startups, they do fail. Uh, for every about maybe 10 to 20 startups that you invest in, you're probably going to have two or three that do well. And do we have what is called unicorns that happen where you have that one company that does get acquired by a bigger company and you do get a big payout? This is great, but it is pretty rare. But if you do get that unicorn, which people are lucky to get that unicorn at least once in their lifetime. If you're lucky enough, you can get more, but it's very rare. But that usually could set you up for life. Then again, I just want to say this is not gambling. So the risks of you getting this very slim, but if you have the right strategies, you're actually going through these things, you're doing your research, you can make some good money from this. And I do want to just say that these things are not quick money. Like I said, with a business, it takes time to grow. You have to give the company time to grow. I know with this, a lot of people aren't going to like it because nowadays people want their money expeditiously. They want it now. JG went where it's 877 cash now. They want their bread now. But like I said, it's pretty hard to get your cash now, especially when you give a company your money. You have to wait for them to grow. You have to wait for things to change. And usually could take a couple years. It could take a year. It could take two. It could take four. But if things are going well, you can reap the benefits of this. Now, does anybody have any questions regarding this? Throw them in the chat right now. We, we could talk about it. I'm going to... Any questions on the topic? And my friend Dead just pointed out, I definitely had the wrong date for my live. So my apologies for that. Any questions on the topic? Does anybody have anything in particular that they don't understand? Alrighty, guys. Well, it was good talking to y'all. I shall see you for the next stream. Hopefully, you found this helpful. You guys have a great night.